or not. We'd like to know if you've seen them. So are we ready, Barry, to see some of these pictures?
I'm ready.
All right.
I am Wayne.
And everyone, please remember as we go through to be respectful that we're not going to talk over one another. And if you have a question, I'll be looking through each of your chat boxes, but please raise your hand, or when there's a break in conversation, make a comment. Okay. Here we go. Whoops. All right, so our first photo here was taken by our very own Barry Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Barry, can you tell us which waterfall this one is?
Yes, that is Stinging Fork Falls. It's not too far. It's not in Chattanooga. It's just outside of Dayton, Tennessee. I'm sorry, Spring City, Tennessee. Easy hike going down. You hike from the top of the mountain down into a gorge, but the hike up is kind of hard. It's really steep, but it's a beautiful part of the country. And if you can see there at the bottom of the waterfall, it's about 10 or 15 feet deep. So if you can get to the waterfall, it's a really nice little swimming hole. And it's not a long hike. It's only about 1.5 mile or 2 mile hike. But the hike out is so steep that not many people go to it.
Okay. So it's only for the most devoted.
Pretty much. I mean, it's a short hike, and it is absolutely beautiful, beautiful in that gorge. But it's pretty steep coming back out.
Okay, not for the faint of heart. So we have a little break from our waterfalls in this next slide because I wanted to give people a little background on you, Barry, why you're a captain. So Barry has in his past a lot of experience as a captain of boats, and here in town locally, he is a boat captain for the duck tours. Has anyone here been on a duck tour before?
Oh, so.
Yeah, Evelyn has, Tracy has, Rachel, Kendall, Julie, nice. So you may have seen Captain Barry Cole out there at some point.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I know. Ice on the Landing.
I remember you look familiar.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And then
Michelle's already been on the Ice on the Landing.
In the off season, Barry manages Ice on the Landing,
which I've been to.
Okay.
That's right. So some of you may recognize Barry from our time out there with the Chillin' crew.
Oh, that was really fun.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting that on every year.
So
I believe I recognize several of you from actually riding the ducks.
Nice.
So we take a lot of folks on the ducks every summer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can tell in the photo.
So Barry is a man of many talents. And
yep.
Oh, I wanted to take you here to this website because I found one, Barry, of you. Isn't that you right there?
I believe that is me.
Do you drive all boats, or is this like your main boat?
We have 5 different ducks, and each captain likes to have their own duck they drive all the time. I've driven all of them, but we like to drive the same one.
I think I might know you, Barry, because I think I've seen you with my grandparents, I think.
Maybe so. Probably have. A lot of people have driven the duck.
Well, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back to our slideshow here.
Wow.
Okay, so up next, sorry, it's jumping around on me. Up next, we have Upper Piney Falls. It looks like this was taken maybe in the wintertime, huh?
I believe that wasn't July. That was taken a few years ago when the polar vortex came in, when it was really cold. And again, this Upper Piney is just outside of Spring City, which isn't too far from here. That's a very easy hike. It's usually crowded because it's so easy. And you can hike to the top of the waterfall, and then there's another waterfall that is on downstream that's kind of difficult to get to. But Upper Piney Falls you can get to quite easily, and it's a pretty good swimming hole as well.
Nice. And we had Kendall mention this one, Twin Falls. Have you been here, Kendall?
No, but in the video it was very pretty one.
Oh, yeah. I remember that video.
What's interesting about that is if you can look at the top of the waterfall
Yeah.
and you don't see any creeks or anything.
Mm-mm.
They built TVA built a dam on that river, Caney Fork River, and it backed up on the other side of that hill, and then the water rose, formed a lake, Center Hill Lake, and then all of a sudden water just started oozing out of the side of the mountain. So it's like a big sponge that water is coming through one side and
because you
going
can
through
see
underground.
1, 2, 3.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Wow, that's amazing.
So, and I took that picture standing in the parking lot. So you don't have to hike at all for that one.
Huh.
that's a good photo of that one.
Yeah, great view
That's
just from the
good.
parking lot.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah,
so
the
you
whole
all
area.
know, as soon as my little toolbar disappears from the bottom, on the bottom left side here, you can see it written out, Barry Cole Photography. So this was one of Barry's very own pictures, as he mentioned.
Nice job.
Yeah. And what about these falls here, Barry? What can you tell us about these guys?
That's Twin Falls, and if you can imagine that just on behind the hill of a lake, and the water is almost to the top of the hill on the other side. So the water is just kind of oozing out from that hill. And if you hike down further into the river, there's more waterfalls that do the same thing. There's no creek. It's just coming out of the side of the mountain.
Wow. So I got this wrong then. This is not Lost Creek.
That's not Lost Creek. That's not
Okay.
that's not Lost Creek. It's Lost Creek's not far from that one.
Okay.
But that's still Twin Falls.
Twin Falls. And which part of the state is this? How far would it be from
That
Chattanooga?
is in middle eastern Tennessee along the Cumberland Plateau. It's around Cookeville, Tennessee, or Sparta, Tennessee, if you know where Cookeville is.
Okay.
It's about 2 hours out north of Chattanooga.
Okay. Is this Lost Creek?
That is Lost Creek.
There we go. Okay.
There we go.
Now, see
Wow,
what's
that's big.
interesting about this one, excuse me, is
Wow.
the water. There's no creek leaving the waterfall. If you look, see where it says Barry Cole Photography right there in the bottom right-hand corner?
Yes.
If you go right above where it says Barry Cole, there's a little cave. And the
Oh,
water,
wait, I do see now.
yeah,
Now I see it.
the water is
Oh.
flowing, hitting at the bottom of the waterfall, and then flowing towards the right and going back inside the mountain right there.
Wow.
Whoa.
There's no creek that leaves the waterfall, and it's only about ankle deep right there at the waterfall.
Wow. So
Have you
this
ever been in?
cave- Oh, go ahead, Elaine. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna ask, Captain Barry, have you ever been inside the cave?
I have, yes, and if I knew how to share photographs from here, I could do it. I laid down on my belly and crawled back about 15 feet, and then I've got a big belly, and that's as far as I could get. Now, when you're standing looking at that waterfall, directly behind you, about a football field away, is a big cave, and there's no water between the waterfall and the cave, but it's a big cave that you could walk in miles and miles into. And inside that cave, there are some other waterfalls. So this is where Lost Creek Falls is a big sinkhole. It's right at the foot of the mountain, and then there's just like a big pothole, and that's where this waterfall is.
Wow. And Lost Creek, where is that in relation to Chattanooga?
That is about 2.5 hours north of Chattanooga, north of Crossville. It's just north of Fall Creek Falls State Park. You've been
Okay.
to Fall Creek Falls?
Julie's been there.
Actually, Lost Creek Falls is part of Fall Creek Falls. It's separate from where everybody goes to camp, but it is actually part of the state park.
Oh, okay. And what did you say? Maybe I missed it. Did you talk about your hike into Lost Creek, what that was like?
The hike to Lost Creek is very easy. It might take you 3 minutes from your car to get to right here where I'm taking my picture. So the hike from the parking lot to right there is really easy. Then now it's in the middle of nowhere, and it seems like it takes forever to drive there. Now I think I did include a picture of Virgin Falls in the slideshow. So there is a trail from Lost Creek Falls to Virgin Falls, which is about an 8-mile hike. And maybe we'll see Virgin Falls here in a little bit.
Okay. Very cool. Yes. This picture is gorgeous. I just love this picture, Barry.
That's Cumming Falls State Park. Again, that's around Cookeville in Sparta, Tennessee, about a 2-hour drive. Now this waterfall, it's a new state park, and you can go for free and hike about 1 mile to the overlook and look down at Cummings Falls. But if you want to hike down to the bottom of the waterfall, you have to make reservations now because it was so overcrowded. Everybody wants to go to Cummings Falls to swim and just sit around and play, but it gets so crowded, and it can get dangerous if it rains. It's real prone to flash flooding, and once you get to this point, there's nowhere to go. To get to this point, you have to hike down about 2 miles to the creek, and then you walk back upstream in the creek about a 1/4 mile. And you're surrounded by cliffs on either side. So if it rains really hard while you're down there, it can be scary.
Oh yeah, it sounds like it. So this isn't one of those easy hikes that you mentioned before.
No, it's not. I mean, the last 1/4 mile is in a creek, and if you don't mind walking in a creek, that's fine. And I've been when it's been knee deep. I've been when it was ankle deep. Sometimes you can just rock hop and not get wet at all. I've been in the winter when it was really icy. That was adventuresome. It is it's one of the prettiest waterfalls in Tennessee. And for that reason, it stays crowded in the summertime.
Okay. And the terraces with the rock down below, do you know if that is totally natural or if it was in any way man-made?
It's all totally natural. And right where your arrow is, right there at the base of the waterfall, it's about 4 feet deep, and then it comes and goes down these terraces or these steps, and the very bottom terrace, it's about 8 feet deep, right at the very bottom where the water. You can't see it in the picture actually, but it's about 8 or 9 feet deep, and it's a big swimming pool, big swimming hole, and that's where everybody hangs out. But that's also where it's so dangerous is when. I mean, it might not rain right here. It could rain 10 miles away. And all of a sudden, when all that rainwater in the creek gets here, there's literally nowhere for you to go. And so it can be scary in bad weather.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. And here, Burgess Falls?
Burgess Falls, excuse me. That's known as the Queen of Tennessee waterfalls. The first time that I saw Burgess Falls, I just thought I was somewhere else. I mean, it doesn't look like anything that you would see in Tennessee. It's 125, 130 feet tall, and it's just the way it kind of bends around. It's just so exotic looking. Now, when I took this picture, it's a state park, and where you park, you're at the top of the waterfall, and it's an easy 1 mile hike to the very top of the waterfall. But then about 5 years ago, there were some metal stairs that they had hammered into this cliff. Again, there's cliffs on both sides. And so you walk down these metal stairs to the bottom. Well, about 3 years ago, there was a big flood, and the stairs were washed away. So now the only way to get to the bottom of Burgess Falls is with a kayak. So it's about a 6 mile kayak from the nearest boat ramp. And sometimes even kayaking can be hard. It just depends on how hard the water's flowing. But it is a beautiful waterfall.
Wow. So when you took this picture, were the stairs still in place, or did you kayak here?
On this picture, the stairs were in place.
Okay.
I've kayaked to it before since then, and I've been when it was very easy kayak, and I've been where it was a little bit more hard when there was a lot of water coming over the falls and the current is really strong. It makes for a hard paddle getting to the waterfall.
Wow. Yes. Yes, I'm sure it does. It is a very regal waterfall.
It is. It is. Now, there's also some funny stories about this one. When I took this picture, I was in the water about waist deep with my camera on a tripod. And my buddy, which I don't know if you can see I don't see him. Maybe I photoshopped him out. But he yelled at me, "Be careful, here comes some snakes." And when I looked up, there was 2 or 3 snakes swimming in the water right towards me. And
Oh, gosh.
I don't care for
No
snakes.
way.
Luckily, I was in the water and nobody saw that I peed in my pants.
Luckily, what was that, Barry?
I said, luckily, I was standing in the water and nobody saw that I peed in my pants.
Oh my gosh. Barry!
Sorry.
Oh, jeez.
I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
That was everybody.
I guess I shouldn't have asked you to repeat it.
I would do the same thing.
Well, totally understandable. Stevenson's Branch Falls.
This one is
Give us in
in
one
Chattanooga. This one, I live in Middle Valley, just outside of Hickson, and I could be at this parking lot for this waterfall in 10 minutes. This is at the Mont Lake trailhead of the Cumberland Trail, right there in Soddy Daisy, and it's about a 4-mile hike, and it's rated as a moderate hike. I think it's kind of easy. There's a couple of steep spots in it, but I think it's an easy hike. This is a waterfall that hardly anyone goes to because it's no matter where you start, it's 4-mile hike or an 8-mile round trip hike, no matter where you start. But it's a beautiful waterfall. And then just past this one, there's a creek called Cooper Creek that is just gorgeous. Just a lot of cascades. It's a very scenic area. And to the left of this photograph, there's a cliff that's a rock house where Indians used to take shelter. And that is now a campsite on the Cumberland Trail. So it's a really neat little area.
Oh,
And again, I'm standing in the water in this. Apparently I like to stand in the water right there. That's about knee deep, if I remember correctly.
Okay. So these aren't snakes here. I'm assuming those are some roots.
No. These photographs are long exposure photographs, so that's why the waterfall looks kind of smooth and silky. And so when you see those little lines in the pool that maybe look like snakes, that's just water kind of flowing. And that exposure's that's probably about a 3 or 4 second exposure with my camera.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
No snakes.
Nope, I didn't see any snakes on that one.
That's good for you.
That's really
Yeah,
I don't
that's
like
pretty.
snakes. I don't like snakes. They freak me out. They just,
Yeah.
And this is a different vantage point. You're not standing in the water on this picture.
I am not standing in the water on that one. This is Ritchie Ridge Falls, and that's on Highway 111, just above Soddy Daisy. From Soddy Daisy, it's about a 10-minute drive, and this is probably the easiest waterfall to get to in our area. You can park, and you can be right where I'm standing in less than 2 minutes. It's the highest mountain trailhead of the Cumberland Trail, which after this point gets to be a very strenuous hike. But I mean, my car is right behind the waterfall, and you just can't see it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Wow. So there are several of these hikes where they're so close to where you would park and hike in.
Oh yeah.
hey, Barry. This is so cool.
That is the same creek as the one we just saw, Ritchie Ridge
Picnic
Falls.
Falls?
This Picnic Falls is about a mile downstream from Ritchie Ridge. In between Picnic Falls and Ritchie Ridge, there's not if you go off trail and just hike in the creek, there are several cascades and waterfalls 8-9 feet tall that are just beautiful. And me and some friends named this one Picnic Falls because where I'm standing is a big flat rock right at the water level, and it's a great place to have a picnic.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So you named these falls here.
This waterfall we actually did name, and we went through all the correct agencies with the state and stuff to do that.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that name too. It gives me an idea for a good picnic spot in the future.
Yeah, I think Indy would love it.
Hey, Barry, when we were looking at you in the duck boat, it kind of gave me an idea when I remember going on the duck boat with you and with my grandparents and my dad, and I think you were kind of distracted and I had to take over the wheel and everything.
Yeah, that's Probably true. Yes, I get
And you
distracted
probably
very
would like
easily.
turn around and everything. You weren't focusing
Yeah,
where you were
I'm a lot like
going.
that dog in Up. When I see a squirrel, I'm just gone.
Oh.
Well, Kendall, thank goodness you were there that day, I tell ya.
Yes.
Saves a lot of people.
I know when I took a ride on the deck tour, Barry, I don't think you were my driver at that point. I don't think we knew each other then. But it was so cool to see that the drivers would let people come up and drive the boats
Yeah.
every once in a
Yeah,
while.
because I used to drive my papa's old boat before I got animal picked on. So,
So Kendall, you had some experience.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, what about these falls right here?
Orange
We
Falls.
named these falls as well. This is Orange Falls, and there's a right below Picnic Falls. There's a creek that comes in off a hillside, and if you follow that creek up, you come to these falls. Now, on this mountain, this is on Jones Gap Road. There was a lot of strip mining for coal, and when they found a seam of coal, they would run chemicals through it to leach out different minerals and chemicals they did not want in the coal. That stained all the surrounding rocks orange. Now, you can't really tell in this photograph, well, some of the rocks right by the water, but it is orange. The creek bed, like the University of Tennessee orange, the creek bed
Yes.
is orange. And when you're walking in the creek, when you're walking in the creek, your boot print stays on the rock. It's like it's dust almost, and you can step on it. And when you step off, you can see your boot print in the water. I mean, it's really, really neat.
Wow.
Now to get to this waterfall, it's not very safe. Not very safe because of all those chemicals that are leaching out of the rocks. Everything's slippery. I mean, it's like ice. And to the left of this photo, there's 3 different coal mines that you can still get into. I don't do that. That's way dangerous. But Orange Falls is kind of nice because no one ever goes to it, but it's really hard to get there.
Okay. It's a pretty picture with these rhododendrons in front
Yeah, I
of it.
wish I was just either a little late or a little early for the blooms.
Yeah.
Right.
Barry, is this you sitting here on top of this cliff?
Yeah, because I can see
Oh, nice shoes.
And people hacking.
That is Ozone Falls. That's just outside of Rockwood, Tennessee, hour and a half out of Chattanooga. It's a 110-foot waterfall, which is the 5th highest waterfall in Tennessee. And to get to that point, I had to cross the creek and then kind of shimmy up a cliff. And you can see most of those people down there on the rocks. Those are some of my hiking buddies. And I believe there's another photograph of Ozone that Michelle has that you can see the whole waterfall. But that's my wife. My wife and I have a rule. When I go hiking, whether it's by myself or with friends, I cannot get any closer than 10 feet to any edge of a cliff. And I pretend that my wife doesn't know that I do this, and my wife pretends that I don't do it. But I like to take pictures like this with my feet dangling off a cliff.
Oh gosh, Barry.
I know.
You're not
I
listening
like
to
my
your
wife.
wife very well. You're not listening to her. You're not listening to her very well.
Yeah.
You're standing like kind of close because I can kind of see your foot kind of towards leaning toward the edge.
Yeah.
Hey, Barry.
I get in trouble quite a bit. I stay in trouble.
Julie, do you have a question?
Yeah. Was you afraid to stand on that? Was you scared or you felt like you was going to fall off?
Ooh.
You always have to be careful. So if I wasn't afraid, but I was respectful of being careful. So when I got there, I didn't just plump right down. I stepped down maybe 4 or 5 feet away from the edge and then scooted on my bottom to the edge. So, and it was flat. It wasn't sloped or anything like that.
Okay.
So I felt I wasn't scared, but I wasn't going to get any closer than that.
Yeah. Have you done any fishing in those ponds?
Fishing?
Yes. Yes.
I have fished some around waterfalls. In the Smoky Mountains, and then around the Tellico River, which is near Tellico, Tennessee, 2 hours from here. Sometimes I fly fish.
Whoa.
But
What
not,
kind
not
did you
much.
catch?
Most time I wanna hike and take pictures of waterfalls.
Nice. Philip, you
What
might
fish
have
did
some
you
questions for Barry then. Philip is quite a fisherman, Barry.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Me too.
Yep. I caught a two largemouth basses and a crappie.
Wow.
Wow, Bella.
Yeah. Barry,
Wow.
I don't know if you've seen on our Facebook page, but we highlight TR superstars every now and then, and Philip was one of them for his big catch.
Wow.
For his
And Mike.
fisherman skills. Yes. That's
But
right.
Michelle didn't know this. I actually, when my grandparents used to live in their old house, they had a dock where you can go fishing and stuff. And I used to sit in my little chair, just go out there with my dad, and we used to go fishing together. And actually caught a fish.
Nice.
I'm
I was
gonna
able to catch a fish.
I'm gonna catch the biggest fish of all.
Well, before we get too off track with fishing,
Okay.
Ozone Falls. I mean, I'll tell you, Barry, when I looked at this picture at first, it made me a little nauseous. And I felt
well,
Same.
This is one of my, this type of photograph is one of my things that I do everywhere I go. And so I have a lot of photographs like this. Now to get where those other people are,
Yes.
that's probably a 2-minute hike from the parking lot.
Ew.
Okay.
So you can walk to that
pretty.
you can walk to the top of that waterfall very easy.
Okay.
And then before you switch pictures, if you look to the left of my left foot, down the bottom at that cliff, yeah, right there with your arrow, that's the trail. That's the trail. Okay, so now if you go to the next photograph, that's the trail to get to the bottom. So it's not really a trail. You're just kind of jumping down from rock to rock. And so walking to the top of the waterfall is very easy, but walking to the bottom one, you need some boots or some good tennis shoes, because you're just walking down steep and just from rock to rock. Now, right now in this photograph, this was taken this past spring, and at the bottom of the waterfall, that's about 3 or 4 feet deep. But in the middle of this big pond, sometimes it can get about 20 feet deep. Now, one thing, it's not a state park, but Ozone is a state natural area, which park rangers patrol it and stuff like that. But there's not a headquarters or anything. People get in trouble all the time at this waterfall because it's so easy to get to. Yesterday, somebody on purpose jumped off the top.
Oh,
That's what I was going to
gosh.
say.
And the water.
Don't ever do that. Don't.
No. Don't ever do that.
Don't do
Nobody,
that.
don't ever do that from anything. But the water yesterday
would
was
not
about
do it.
half this flow, and where the water is hitting in this picture, yesterday it was inches deep, and the guy landed. If Michelle, keep going down a little bit, Michelle. The guy landed somewhere right in there, and it was 7 feet deep where he hit.
Oh gosh.
And I don't know how, but he's okay. He knocked out some teeth. He knocked out some teeth and hurt his ankles.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
not a combination.
when you're hiking and there's water anywhere around, you shouldn't jump in anything.
No, you should just walk where the rocks are. We're here. It's kind of like a downward trail, kind of going like this.
Yeah.
You should just walk down.
You should just walk in and just get in the water. So he was very fortunate that he just knocked out some teeth. But this is one of the waterfalls that is so popular. Me and a group of friends on Facebook on a waterfall page, we go twice a month to this waterfall and pick up trash. Because of the whole coronavirus thing and people not going to school, and not going to work, everybody's hiking, everybody's getting outdoors, and a lot of people they just haven't learned how to respect the outdoors, and they'll just throw trash everywhere. And this is one of the
and especially around my school right now, there's like tons of trash around.
Yeah,
At least we're getting out.
People, I guess we're just lazy people. But me and some friends, twice a month we go to Ozone and we pick up. Last time we picked up 6 big garbage bags of trash,
like to
and
show you
5 car
That's really
tires.
nice of you
And
guys.
2 days later, somebody else went back and picked up another 4 bags. So it gets,
Wow.
so if you go hiking, you know, there's a leave no trace, or if you pack something in, take it out with you. And we usually take empty garbage bags with us, so we can always pack trash out when we go someplace. We might find an empty water bottle or a candy bar wrapper, and we just put the trash bag and take it with us.
My
That's
mom and I
wonderful,
talked
Mary.
about going outside and picking up trash together. We
Mhm.
talked about that.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
since my mom's
Nice.
so busy with work right now, she
Yeah.
can't.
It helps us keep all of these beautiful places beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Philip, it looks like, thank you for raising your hand. Do you have a question?
Yep, I caught a fish.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Yes, you are the fisherman. We know.
Yep, I'm a best pro fisherman.
Michelle, don't forget about me, because I used to fish and boat.
Yeah, I used
Wow,
to fish.
I use
we've got
fish
fisher
tanks.
women and fishermen. Rachel, did you raise your hand too?
Yeah,
like
I
to
used
fish?
to fish when my mom used to fish.
Nice.
I
And,
use fishing with my brother.
and
You all
Julie's
are gonna have to teach me how to fish.
Julie's got her hand
If I may-
raised.
Meet me
Quite
at-
a
meet me
fisher
at the-
crew here.
Meet me at Harrison Bay, okay?
Michelle, it just takes patience to catch
the
fish.
Juku.
It just takes patience.
Meet
to
me
get
at the
it.
Juku, okay?
Thanks for all the tips, you guys. Let's see, what about this one here? I think we may have some folks who have been to this one, Rainbow Lake Falls.
Yeah, that's
Elaine has.
that's on top of Signal Mountain.
That is really pretty.
Walden's Ridge is the name of the mountain. Signal Mountain is the name of the city on Walden's Ridge. So there's no such thing as Signal Mountain, but we won't go there. But this is there's a separate trail for Rainbow Lake Falls that is very wide. It's a gravel trail, and it's maybe 1.5 miles long. And this is a great spot just kind of hang out and put your feet in the water. And that's a short hike. However, when I go here, I park at Signal Point, which is only about 1/2 mile down the road from the parking lot, but it makes it about a 2.5 mile hike. And there's other waterfalls that you can see if you go that way. But this is a man-made waterfall. You can see it's a dam, and that's where Signal Mountain or Walden's Ridge used to get their drinking water from.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh.
Avon, would you like to teach you how to fish?
We'll have to start another program, Philip.
Another
Yeah.
program?
Yeah, we'll have to do that in the future.
Let me add.
What about this one here, Barry?
Okay, this is one that we named
How to
Polecat
fish.
Falls.
Ouch.
That's the name of the gully. That's Polecat Gorge is where this is located, and this is just outside of Dayton, Tennessee. So it's about 35 minutes from Chattanooga, and that's Brush Creek. And there are, in less than 1 mile, there's probably 8 waterfalls on Brush Creek, and this is the last waterfall before it enters Rock Creek. Now, this is an easy hike to get to Polecat Falls, but if I want to see snakes, this is where I go. Every time I've been to Polecat Falls, I see copperheads, and water snakes. So if you don't like snakes, don't go there just to hang out.
I don't like
No.
snakes.
I'm
I only
afraid
like
of
garden
snakes.
snakes. I only like garden snakes.
Yeah, that may not be the place for me. Barry, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
So I've heard that trees right here where my cursor is,
Mhm.
where it's been bent down like this, indicate that there's a water source nearby, and that's what early frontiersmen and women would do. When the tree was young, they would put something over one of the limbs
Mhm.
so that it would make that kind of shape. Have
Mhm.
you heard of that, or do you know anything about that?
I have. They're called Indian marker trees.
Okay.
And I think the frontiersmen learned it from the Native Americans.
Okay.
This is not a marker tree because it's right beside the waterfall, and it would take somebody it's right there by the waterfall. And that tree isn't that old. That tree might be 75 years old.
Wow.
So the marker trees that I have seen, what they would do is they would take some type of twine, or animal skin, and they would take a branch and tie it to that, and then tie that to the bottom of the tree so it bends the branch down, and that would point towards a water source or some special landmark like a rock house where you could take shelter in bad weather. But more than likely it was a water source. But now those marker trees from Native Americans from the 16 and 1700s, those limbs are, if the tree is still there, they're a lot taller. I mean, they're really high off the ground now. People still use marker trees. You can go to the Pisgah Mountains up above the Smoky Mountains, and there's a waterfall called Skinny Dip Falls, which is a really easy hike. And there's a marker tree that the park rangers have used, and it kind of looks like it looks like a deer with antlers, because the way they tied the tree down, it points, because the trail is really faint, it points the way you need to go, but it looks like the tree has antlers also. If you ever get to Skinny Dip Falls, it's a place everybody stops and takes pictures of this tree.
Wow.
I
Okay.
got a question.
Yes, Julie.
Do they go skinny dipping in these waters?
Yes.
Sorry.
Julie.
Some of the waterfalls, I can say I've actually been skinny dipping in.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Julie.
Julie, sorry she asked.
I'm done over here.
Let's see what our next waterfall is. Three Creek Falls. Tell us about this one, Barry.
Okay, this is Middle Creek Falls comes off of Walden's Ridge into the Tennessee River, or Signal Mountain. This is Signal Mountain. And this is a really short hike. That mountain in the background is Raccoon Mountain, and the Tennessee River is right there at the bottom of Raccoon Mountain. So you can park on Suck Creek Road, almost where her arrow is. You can't see the road, but Suck Creek Road, and then you can see the trail, and it's 10 minutes to get to this point. And now, remember Twin Falls, how the water was just coming out of the side of the mountain?
Yeah.
This is the same type of thing. Now, what's weird is there's no lake or anything on the other side of that hill. I mean, that's Signal Mountain. It keeps going up. Those are underground streams that are converging together. There's actually 3 creeks, underground creeks, that are coming together right there to form this waterfall.
Wow.
In there.
I got another question.
And Michelle, I mean, have you been there, Michelle?
So I've been in that area. I can't remember if I've come specifically to Three Creek Falls.
If you're on Suck Creek Road heading away from town, on your right you'll come to a long guardrail that doesn't look like you should be there. That's where you park. That's where you park for the trailhead for this.
And it would be in the other direction from Mushroom Rock. Is that right?
Other direction. It's way before you get to Mushroom Rock.
Oh, okay. So I probably have not been there yet.
Okay, Suck Creek Road is on the bottom. It's along the Tennessee River. You know where River Drifters is?
Yes.
The restaurant?
Yes.
You go past River Drifters about a mile and a half.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's literally right on the river.
Oh, you know, Barry, I've heard that called Middle Creek.
Okay. Yes.
Is that-
It's the main creek is Middle Creek.
Okay.
But the waterfall coming out of the rocks, that's Three Creek Falls, and it's falling into Middle Creek. Now, if you look behind me, there's another about 9 or 10 foot waterfall that's called Middle Creek Falls.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, very cool. Yes, I have explored there. It's a really beautiful network of waterfalls just all up and down that trail, but kind of treacherous hiking.
Yes, it's there's not really once you get off the road, you know, it turns really rocky. So you're just kind of scrambling up and down rocks to get to this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think we're just about running out of time, and I think there are just a few pictures left here, Barry.
That's Soddy Daisy. That's a really easy hike. It's just about 3.5 miles long. And as you walk on the trail, Cumberland Trail, two-legged branch, as you're walking to the waterfall on the left is a cliff the entire way. And there's 4 or 5 branches like Leggett Branch that falls off of that cliff. That's 80 to 90 foot waterfalls. So this is on walking on top of the cliff to this waterfall.
Okay. Nice. And it's got some of that terracing again.
Mm-hmm. And there's some really nice rock houses in that area too, where Indians used to hang out.
And this one, I'm not sure what this is called.
This the next waterfall. Go to the next waterfall. Okay, that's Laurel Falls in Dayton, Tennessee, and that's probably the queen waterfall of Ray County. That's about a 2.5-3 mile hike in the pocket boulders. It is a very beautiful waterfall. And then if you go back to the one we just saw, that is just downstream. So that's called Laurel Falls Cascade. And there's all kinds of swimming holes up and down this branch or this creek. It's really pretty. It tends to get busy because it's such a pretty waterfall and it's such a popular trail. But it's right along Richland Creek, which is very just beautiful place to go.
Oh, nice. I was able to explore Laurel Falls just this spring. And like you said, these falls are so magnificent up here.
Yeah, it is.
And we went at a time right after a huge rain, and people were saying it was just really huge compared to normal.
And the next time you go, have you hiked to the top of Laurel Falls, Michelle?
No, I didn't make it to the top.
There's a waterfall about 100 feet past the top of the falls called Hidden Falls. That's really nice. And then you can hike another 4 miles to Snow Falls, which no one ever goes there because it's so far away, but it's beautiful as well. That's Imodium Falls, and the name Imodium Falls, it was given to it by kayakers, because as they were kayaking over this waterfall, the main part of the stream is off to the right side of the stream. And so when you get to the lip of the waterfall, you see that big rock right there at the bottom. And so the kayakers named it Imodium Falls because Imodium is a medicine that does stuff. But this is a 4 mile hike, no matter where you start from. It's 8 mile round trip hike, no matter where you start from. And if you go from, you remember Ritchie Ridge Falls and Orange Falls, Picnic Falls? If you start there to walk to this waterfall, it is a very strenuous hike. It is, I hate doing that. Yeah, it's just up and down 4 gorges and it's hard. But if you start at the top of the mountain at a place called Retro Hughes Trailhead, it's a 4 mile hike to the waterfall and it's nowhere near as hard. But this is one of my favorite local waterfalls because no one really goes there. It's a great swimming hole. When there's water, it's beautiful. And it's some of the trail just above the waterfall reminds me of Lord of the Rings. Just the way the rocks and the ferns and everything is really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it looks gorgeous. This is our last picture.
This is Glenfall Cascades. This is on Lookout Mountain. And this is probably the second easiest waterfall to hike to in Hamilton County. Ritchie Ridge is the easiest. Glen Falls is on Lookout Mountain, and you park at the trailhead on Ox Highway as you're going up towards Rock City. And it's a nice level hike, maybe a mile long. When you get to Glen Falls is really skinny. I don't have a picture of Glen Falls on to show you, just because it's between 2 cracks of a rock. The cascades around Glen Falls are pretty. This cascade, it's hard to see because there's no one standing there. That's probably about 15 feet tall.
Wow. Those were amazing pictures.
Thanks.
Yes.
Oh, before we have questions, I wanted to show everyone a few more pictures here that were sent in to me by Rachel Sadowitz. So Philip, can I show everybody these pictures?
Sure.
Okay. So just from my phone here, you can see Phil in the picture. Hiking at the base of one of the waterfalls. And Phil, do you remember which waterfall that is?
Those are twins.
Is that Twin Falls?
No.
Or is it, I think I recognize it. Is it
yeah. Those are Cascade.
It's a cascade. You're standing by a waterfall for sure. It's a huge one too. We'll have to do some digging to see which one it is. And then this picture.
Oh, there's Philip. There's Philip again.
I went to Side Daisy.
That was in Soddy Daisy.
Yep.
Okay.
I went to Side Daisy.
Hey, Barry, I have a question for you. How long have you been doing like photographing waterfalls for, at least?
For waterfalls, I've been taking photographs for 30 years, and then a waterfalls probably about 15 years.
A long time.
I'm old.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Julie, yes.
Is all that water safe to drink? If
I was really, really, really thirsty, I would drink it. But there's some places that you shouldn't drink it for different reasons. But if you're out in the woods and you're really thirsty, you should at least boil the water. Start a fire and get it really hot, and then let the water cool down. But if I was really thirsty and my life depended on it, I would drink it.
But otherwise, there are different filtering systems you can use, Julie. You can use a water pump, and it goes through this network of filters to get all the bacteria and any of the gunk and stuff that can make you sick.
Like in camping supplies, they have those like filter water stuff.
That's right. You can use some pills. What are they? I'm forgetting what they are. Iodine. Yep. You can drop iodine into the water, but it doesn't taste very good. And that'll kill all the bacteria too. But otherwise, like Barry said, you can boil it, and that'll kill anything that could harm you.
If I can teach you something,
one more thing
during the future.
So Barry, those waterfall pictures that you did was very good. They turned out really well when you took them. That was really good snapshots of them.
So here's what Michelle was talking about. This is a life straw where I could open it up here and then open up this side, and then I dip this in the water and I suck, and it goes through this tube. It goes in here, and inside here there's a whole bunch of filter-like things that takes out almost all of the bad stuff. So I can lay down on a rock and drink water.
Like that.
It's called a life straw.
Nice.
This is in my camera bag.
I got one more.
Plus, you can also put like a camping bag as well, too. Like a camping bag, you can put that one in as well. So.
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead, Julie. You've got another question?
Yeah, I do. It says something about kayaking. It's all that river safe to kayak, because I love kayaking.
Where I said I kayak.
Is it safe?
It's safe. It's safe. It's flat water. It's not white water. It takes from where you can put your kayak in to get to kayak to that waterfall. It's about 6 miles. So, it might take you 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours to get there, maybe a little longer. But it's safe.
But you never know when it's gonna go from normal to rough water. You never know.
So everyone, we are running out of time. Philip, do you have one last question for us?
What fish did you catch?
When I fish, when I'm looking at waterfalls, I catch some type of trout, whether it's brook trout or brown trout or rainbow. But they're really small. They're not like the bass you catch. Mine, it's like this big, maybe.
Wow.
I got one more question.
I call largemouth bass.
Barry, we're so thankful that you could join us today and show us all these pictures that you took and give us the insider scoop. I learned a lot from you today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. Julie, got one last quick question?
Yes. I just want to tell you, my sister has a lake at Ohio. She lives on the lake. And I kayak up there. And everybody in my family tells me that I'm a pro at it.
Good.
Of kayaking.
Oh, nice, Julie.
Hey, Michelle, guess what my fingers look like right now for 4th of July?
Patriotic.
We
Well,
got
you guys, thank you so much. It's great to see everybody's face. And again, thank you, Barry.
Welcome.
So
Yeah,
without-
thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
thanks, Barry.
You're welcome.
So, crew, I'll be sending out an email this week for our next hike, which I'll give you a little prelude. We're going to hike in Africa next week. So get ready.
Africa.
That's right. We're going to travel all the way over to Africa. We haven't been there yet.
Hey,
So-
Miss Steele.
I'm gonna show you to Africa to see Israel.
We'll be close. Yeah, that's right. We'll be close.
We will be.
Hey, Miss Steele.
Yes, Julie.
Are we on Thursday?
No, we don't have a program on Thursday this week. It'll be next week. And I'll send that
All right.
email.
But
Okay.
we on Friday, right?
That's right. Zoom size on Friday.
Our first.
And
So-
Michelle,
You guys,
David-
thank you.
and Michelle, guess
Feel free to
what?
sign off if you need to.
Hey, Michelle, guess what?
Thanks, Barry.
You're welcome. See you
Sure.
guys.
Bye, Barry.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Hey,
Barry.
Michelle.
Yeah.